But you still don't know the Bible, though.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, do I not know the Bible because I'm of the hermeneutics or because of the Holy Spirit? I need to know where you stand on this, Vecco.
Both. Well, both, depending on the context of what we're talking about.
To be fair, you are a fucking reprobate.
I am a fucking reprobate.
No, you don't. Well, Slim Jim doesn't know that. Neither do we.
The Lord don't know your heart.
That's what I'm saying.
The Lord doesn't exist. It's made up.
How do you know that?
No, I'm taking the side of the Lord. I'm just saying you have to suffer more patience. Go ahead.
I can't possibly be butthurt because you haven't brought anything to the table that's substantial. No, don't do that. You see how atheists
so how do I know that your Christian God doesn't exist? I know that the flood didn't happen. I know that two people didn't populate this whole world.
Watch the hands.
I also
you see what he's doing?
Watch the hands.
You see.
This is way over your head, Rage. First of all, praise is not a one.
Maybe.
The oneness doctrine.
I don't do stupid very well.
Rage, shut up, man.
All right, what's up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints? Fight night on Wednesday night, and I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen Darth Dawkins yet. I don't know. I kind of predicted that he wouldn't come because he only shows up when he knows I won't bring him on. But we're gonna give him a moment. If he doesn't show up, because I want to give him and John a chance, because this, the whole point of him coming on tonight was to challenge something John had said to him. And I do believe that Darth usually shows up when he says he will. Now, this morning, the idiot showed up for the morning stream thinking it was time to come on. We're like, no, come back at nighttime. This is a review stream. I'm not bringing people on. Tonight's an open room. It's open room night, but I want to kind of bend the rules. So I'm gonna give him a moment, and I'll let John, do his thing. I want to give Darth a moment before I bring anybody else in because I would like to give Darth and John their time together before we open up the room. And if Darth wants to challenge me as well before we open up the room.
I so want to be with Darth.
But yeah, John is here. John's super excited for this tonight, so we'll let John. John's gonna run the show tonight. So what's up, John?
I mean, I just get all tingly every time I think of Darth. He's my spirit animal.
Well, I'm waiting for him to get here. Hopefully he's not too fashionably late, and I jumped the gun. Knowing Darth, he'll wait until I do the open room. I'm full, and then he'll just to be a dick. He'll make me kick somebody out.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to point out is, and I've mentioned this before, but in that opening there, it just every time I hear it, it just tickles me to no end when Veckel tells you haven't brought anything of substance to the table. Because Veckel is like one of the most non-substantive people I've ever heard, move their lips. It's just unbelievable. And he seems to be afraid of hands, even over the internet.
Well, yeah, and as I pointed out, I had that little bull spot on my hand too. But me and Veckel, we've had several disagreements now. But I will say, like, when I do drop the confrontation video with Smokey Saint, Veckel comes in at the very end and he's straight up like, nah, I don't agree with this. This ain't Christian, Smokey. So I'm going to give him his props for that. Duncan Atheism. Darth Dawkins. You've been coming here a lot, wanting to come back on. And then you recently come back on and come back in the side chat, challenge John here. You and John got into it. So this is your night. I'm gonna leave it closed for a moment. I'm gonna give you a chance to get here. I know more Cowbell was saying Darth is the one that told them about this stream, or he would have passed up our shitty stream here, John. Which means that Darth will be here. So we're gonna give him a minute, and we're gonna let him come in. So you and Darth can meet each other. Have you ever been in a room with Darth before?
Well, I've gone into Discord servers where he was there, and usually summarily got myself booted because I can't remember. I usually just went in there and just spewed fuckery because I just think he's such a lols cow. Like he was doing his normal shtick. He had like an atheist that was like 20 something or 19 that he was working over with his normal routine. And I called him out on that, and I forget, I said something about, something to the effect that I had heard it all before from him. And he said, well, when you heard it before, were you taking notes? And I said, yeah, I normally don't take notes when I watch Sesame Street. And then I was gone, and then I went in there one other time and said something similarly stupid in some room he had going. And
well, I'm currently in his Discord server, but I haven't tried to talk to him there. I don't do the Discord thing. I've dealt with Darth twice now. The first time I had no idea who Darth Dawkins was. I didn't realize that Evolution False in my side chat talking shit, wanting to come in, that I was bringing on Darth Dawkins. I had heard the name Darth Dawkins, but I at that point don't even think I had ever really seen any YouTube stuff with Darth Dawkins. So that time I had no idea who I was talking about, and it was a beautiful travesty that I still love to this day. Funny unless you're me. I've always held that up and said, hey, look what happens when you don't know what you're doing and you get into a conversation blind, right? You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And I lost that one against Darth Dawkins. The second one, and that one didn't last very long. I think that was about 20 minutes, the longest I've ever really been able to handle DD. The second one was with Brett Keane, and on that 8-hour Brett Keane stream, G-Man came in that a lot of people came in that night. And I think that was about 15 minutes. And that was probably worse than the first one because it was just like he came in, ruined a perfectly good conversation. And I'm like, fuck you, dude, just leave. And we haven't talked since until he started recently showing up again. I'm disappointed. We said 7 p.m. Eastern. Me and my OCD. I'm not going to be able to withhold throwing the link in the side chat for too long. So, dude, better show. But you know me. But go ahead, John.
Well, no, if he's not here yet, I don't want to have to sit here and vamp.
I'm not going to
you for too long. We'll wait a couple more minutes and then let's put the link in and let people come in. Yeah, as I said earlier today, I have some questions I want to ask Darth. He wants me to substantiate my, I guess I was, just tearing him apart when we noticed he was in the chat. I called him an idiot. I said his arguments are trash, and he's going to want me to substantiate that, which I can. The way he was sounding this morning was that he was going to be here. I even went over to Tom Unbox's channel and told everybody over there about it. What was that you said a few moments ago? You had said somebody had mentioned in chat that they had heard Darth mentioning it too.
Well, yeah, they said that Darth said that he would be here. That's why they're here. So. Yeah, I'm expecting that he will come in, but I am going to throw the link in the side chat here shortly. But we can talk about what's going to be coming on the channel real quick and give him a moment more. Tomorrow we're going to have SJ and CJ on, and it's going to be a good conversation, morality and God. I think it's going to be pretty decent. Should be, if Darth shows up, a lot better conversation than what's going to transpire tonight. And then what else do I got going on, John? Well, I think I'm gonna put out an edited video tomorrow. And then Friday is going to be another review of Matt Powell's movie. He said there's a 50-50 chance. So positively godless. I have to say he is saying that there's a 50-50 chance that he'll be here, but I'm not sure what that means. It could be a 50-50 chance that Darth is more Cowbell's daddy. So yeah, I'm probably going to throw the link in the side chat here in a moment so y'all can come on and talk shit until Darth shows. I have maintained that Darth won't show because this has been consistent lately. Since the second time, since the last time we talked, Darth comes in when he knows that I won't allow him to come on. So he'll come into the side chat when I'm reviewing something. And I've told him several times to email me at my email address or come into an open room. Finally, he's like, he's going to come into the open room tonight. This morning he showed up. And now Darth is not here, but yeah, I mean maybe he thought I didn't have Thanksgiving dinner ready for him, John.
Yeah, I mean, and he did, like I said, he wanted to know when we said 7:00. He immediately posted in the side chat. Was that 7 Eastern, 7 Central? You know, and we clarified for him.
Oh, but yeah, without a doubt, Hillbilly Jim Scratch. Like, what's the betting line that Dawkins will attempt to hijack the conversation within the first minute if he shows? I wouldn't take that bet. I wouldn't take that bet.
I would take that bet.
Yeah, and he knew the time. He likes the attention. So, but like, I mean, I'm just going to bring people on and talk shit. So, yeah, I threw the link in the side chat. If you want to come on in. And yeah, fucking Darth Dawkins. See, I told you, John. I told you you he wasn't gonna show.
I was all excited over nothing, I guess.
Yeah. Last time I told you something about YouTube, I was wrong. So this time,
yeah, you said so. I forget who you said wouldn't show up, and they did show up.
Sunflower. It was Sunflower's first time.
Yeah.
So, yep, come on in, and we shall talk. I had a feeling we'd see you first.
Roy Lindsay says I was in his Discord server and he said it was a 70% chance he would show.
70% chance. Like, dude has been here for a week in the side chats wanting to talk. Now's his chance to talk, and it's a 70% chance. Come on, Darth, you a fucking pussy. All right, which I've said. I've told him that. It's not like I'm talking about Darth behind his back. I told him that.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, I have no idea why my avatar isn't showing. Oh, there it goes. So how you doing?
Oh, here's Tentai saying he said he wanted a piece of Darth's balls.
Oh, hey, Leo.
I can't say that I'm disappointed because I expected this to happen, but I still think we're at a 70% chance that Darth Dawkins shows up. So it might still happen, y'all. But now he's gonna have to deal with all of y'all instead of just John. I was gonna just chill in the background and poke the bear. Like I was gonna say shit like shit that T Jump was saying to him because I knew it'd bother him. Like reality is universal, and just poke the bear a little bit as he talked with John. But
wait a minute, Doc. You're gonna poke yourself?
Yeah. I'm a dick. But.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about masturbation. You said poke the bear. Like
Dawkins won't come in here because he can't control the narrative in the room. Therefore, he can't mute anybody that overtalks him. We all know he's a snowflake that can't handle when somebody tries to get a word in, and he doesn't get to run the whole fucking show. So he's not going to come in here.
He goes into rooms where he doesn't control the narrative. It just depends on whose room that is and if they are more likely to take Darth's side or not. That's not going to happen here, so I doubt he'll show up.
Like
if
I said,
he does show up,
he did twice, and since that last time, he'll comes into the side chat and he'll say he will, but he never does.
What did he want? What seemed to be his urge to come in earlier today?
Because a couple of days ago he was in the live chat when somebody mentioned he was there. I pretty much called him an idiot and said his arguments are trash and that they're not, logical or intelligible or something. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was basically trashing him. And then so he was immediately, let me come in and defend that. Let me come in, and we were like, well, no, we're doing something else right now. But you can come into the live room Wednesday night. So he showed up this morning when we were reviewing Matt Powell's movie. Yeah. And he said, hey, you said Wednesday, I can come in right now. And Knox like, well, no, we're reviewing a movie. The live chat or the live open room is tonight at 7:00.
You mean that's a movie?
He posted in the, he asked in the live chat was that 7 Eastern or 7 Pacific? And, so like he was acting like he was going to come in. And so.
Just so you know, here's something real quick. I'm monitoring the Discord on wherever Darth goes. I got an instant message from this Reformation. You've been muted. Duration 10 minutes. Reason troll. Just because I'm in here. And just because I'm reporting.
That means he's got somebody in here reporting back to him everything we say so he can sit in his little safe space and fucking run his mouth and run his script.
Somebody said it either in the chat or said it here in the chat. I can't remember. I thought I just read it, but I might be wrong. That, Inquisitive Conjury said he's lurking, Knock. He's waiting to see who else is going to be in the room. Fill up the room with one spot and watch. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's looking to see, all right, who's all going to come in? Are these people I know? Are these people
hey, Darth, if that's the game you're playing, just know that once you show up, it's going to be you and me.
Yeah, at first, I'll
tell you this. I'll just volunteer. If he shows up while the room's full, I'll back out so everybody else can have a piece of him. But I want some too before it's over.
After John's done, I want to go next because it's only going to take me about 3 to 5 minutes to utterly fucking annihilate everything that he says.
Real quick. You don't have to do that. I've already talked to Darth on like 2 or 3 occasions. I'll back out if that's the case because fuck that guy.
So he is a douche.
One question.
So I actually have no idea who this guy is.
He's a Van Tilly apologist, and his argument is pretty much like if you've ever seen a Seitan Bergenkate or Matt have a discussion, he does it, but they're the same spiel. How do you know this? How do you know that? How do you justify this? But he does it significantly worse than those two do.
I'll make it real simple for you, Leo. Is he a Kent Hovind wannabe, or is he a little bit?
No. He's in his own camp.
It's funny. I get along with Matt Flick too.
To summarize what he does, it's a psycho-fuck Socratic method.
It's not even a Socratic method. It's Van Tillian presupposition.
Yeah, but he does try to take you down a little bit of a Socratic path that normally leads to him trying to pigeonhole you into something.
It's a bastardization of the Socratic method because all of his questions are loaded questions. All of his questions essentially beg the question. Because his conclusion is hidden somewhere in the question. Yes. He projects so much his fucking favorite line, don't overtalk me, yet he overtalks everybody.
And the reason he says don't overtalk me is because you're making a valid point that he cannot back up.
Right.
Exactly. Only reason he does that.
The other thing you need to notice about him is that you can ask him as many questions as you want. He will always respond with another question to you. He
not going to get away with that.
He cannot put on the defensive.
I'm asking you guys too. When he shows up, it's me and him.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself and just watch the fun play out.
I'm starting to lose respect because he knows what he's gonna get with me, and like my whole goal with this thing is just not to lose my shit for the first 40 minutes. If I can make it 40 minutes without losing my shit, I'm gonna be happy. But
I'm staying here for the warmth because it's gonna be a hell of a fire.
But that being said, I've learned a few things since my last talk with Darth. I'm more interested in seeing him combat John, but I do. I would hope that at some point he might answer the question, like, how do you automatically get to God being the universal constant? Because he seems to presuppose that with everything he fucking breathes.
Mm-hmm. I did see that Logical Plausible Probable is in the side chat. I wonder if he'll hop in. Probably not.
Hashtag.
So basically, we're talking about Aaron Rock could chew him up and spit him out in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Have
he had a discussion with Aaron?
I
don't think so.
I
I think
feel
I think
obligated
he's
after
like,
what I feel obligated after what Leo just said to say hashtag John Maddox is a grifter.
Well, I'll say this. Having dealt
Can you guys
with,
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, yep. Having dealt with Smokey for as long as I have, I'll take a John Maddox. You know, yeah, he's John Maddox is the kind of douchebag I can actually associate with and not lose my goddamn mind. Not Smokey. I just can't do it no more.
Knock. I still have the hair on my forearms is still singed from that last conversation. With
you was there.
With Smokey.
I
Jay
watched
was
that
there
like an hour after it happened because I heard you post something on Twitter or Facebook about that you fucking went off on Smoke, and I was listening to something just like, oh fuck, get him.
I listened.
I was waiting.
Sorry, I listened to that for 30 seconds, and then I turned it off, and then just lay down and screamed into the void for another minute and a half.
Hey, Maddox in the live chat comes in. The first thing he says is, "This drama is hilarious."
So there's no drama.
What drama?
John, have you talked?
Yeah.
To like the audience because I do that, but I don't know if Darth Dawkins doesn't understand how to work emails because I've told him 1,000 times if he wants a one-on-one to email me, and he never does. He never emails me. He just shows up when I'm reviewing something and I'm not bringing people on to talk to me and say, hey, bring me on, and then I'm like, nah, dude, show up when I'm doing that, and he never does. He never does.
I know why he's late. He had to get his balls polished by Tom Lowe.
Well,
he does that because he's hoping to catch you off guard, and anybody else you might have on, he's hoping to catch them off guard so he can run his script a little easier.
Well,
that's why he does that.
I think he gets off because he knows I'm going to put him in the thumbnail, and we're going to draw a lot of people here to start. You know, wait.
Is this a sad attempt for him to remain relevant?
Yeah, I think so.
Just to give you guys an idea, I did this with my brother and I did this, but we were just reviewing a conversation and I think all it was, I titled the video, Jefferson and I talk about, or talk about Darth Dawkins. And everybody, I think I had like 35 or 40 viewers. And then everybody was like, oh, you guys are just reviewing something. Oh, we thought he was going to be here. And then they just went, my viewership went down to like, at current, or the live viewership went down to like 12 after that. I was like, sorry guys, that wasn't meant to be clickbait, but.
I did want to say really quickly, logical, plausible, probable said in the chat. So John, I'm actually on your side in relation to Darth Dawkins. How about you shove your grifter BS? Well, John, how about in Darth's place, you come in and have a conversation?
Or if you really want to be logical, make sure that you understand that it doesn't follow that just because you guys happen to have something in common, that makes you any less of a grifter piece of shit.
I was gonna say, like, it seems that whole hashtag John Maddox is a grifter thing really gets to John Maddox. That really rubs him the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, it John. To be honest, it ain't that big a deal. I mean, yeah, you're not a grifter, John. You just tried to grift one time. To be a grifter, you would have to be repeating that. Oh, what happened to Jay? He showed his face and then he ditched.
What a crock.
He probably had to go. Is he still? I was gonna say he probably had to go beat a prisoner, but I don't know if he's still like an inmate guard or.
No, he doesn't do that. He's actually where he works right now because of COVID on the rise. I think there's really not. He's securing more or less an empty site. So
shit, we're losing people left and right. Who was that who just left now?
Jay's back.
Positively godless.
Positively godless, yes.
Yeah, it's gonna happen sometimes.
Now I was gonna say hi to Positively Godless. I haven't seen him around in quite a while.
I don't know who that is actually.
Oh,
I don't know who he is either.
He's well loved by G-Man. I know that.
Hey, John, have you actually talked to Darth Dawkins before? Is this your?
Well, like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I've gone into a couple of the rooms that he runs on Discord and never lasted too long, because I just usually went in there for fuckery and like the story I told, the one time that I remember exactly what I said, that he had some 19 or 20-year-old that he was running the script on and, doing his normal bullshit with. And then I said something to the effect of, well, I've heard the same stuff from you 1,000 times, Darth, and he said, oh, and then other times you were listening to me, did you take any notes? And I said, well, yeah, generally I don't take notes when I watch Sesame Street. And I was gone.
One of these things just doesn't belong here.
Yeah, well, I mean, he knows what he's going to get with me. So when the first time I talked to him, I had never spoken to a pre-sup before, had no idea who Darth Dawkins was, and I cussed him out. The second time I spoke to him, I knew what a pre-sup was. I knew who Darth Dawkins was. And I cussed him out. So
we're detecting a pattern here now.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume. Like, my goal was to go 40 minutes. I was going to double up my previous 2 times, and I'm not even going to get to try. I'm thoroughly disappointed, Darth Dawkins, that you.
That's when you just have to put on that song. He's going the distance.
Hey, Knock. How well does John Maddox know me to believe that if he keeps saying shove the grifter comments that they're going to stop?
Oh, yeah, they're not going to stop.
Knock, can you do us a favor? Like, if he does show up, hit the timer, go until exactly 40 minutes, stop everything, and then just lean into that mic and go, I'm going to cuss you out.
Oh, I have to now. Yeah, I have to. That's got to be a thing. So, yeah, you got 40 minutes, Darth, and then it's on. And if you haven't heard my last conversation with Smokey Saint, you might want to check it out and realize what you're getting into. So no, but he hasn't went personal on me like Smokey has. So.
Wait. I'm sorry. I was waiting for something. I was waiting to hear a pop on that last conversation. Just putting that out there. I was waiting to hear something just. Knox had exploded.
I got a noise complaint that night. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so you said you've talked to him. I mean, this is a Darth stream, so Jay, we'd like to hear your story of when you talked to him, and then also maybe this will bring him here.
Oh, it was.
No, he's not coming in now, Jack. Jack's here.
Jack's here.
Yeah, Darth's not coming in. So.
Can I?
Strike.
Yeah, can you see my avatar?
Do you think he's Beetlejuice or something?
Well, they've had this like forever feud. Go ahead, Leo.
So somebody asked a question in chat that I wanted to answer. I forgot my password again. I don't know who that is. Can someone explain what a presup is? Presuppositional apologetics is a form of apologetics that essentially is based on the idea that anytime somebody uses logic, rationality, or assumes that the reliability of our that we have reliable cognitive faculties, they're presupposing God's existence when they do that, because you need some transcendental absolute, as it's often worded, to ground the reliability of our cognitive.
And here's the thing, though. What I would add to that, though, okay, and that's you're talking about presuppositional apologetics, but yes. everybody's worldview or everybody's faculties of logic must assume certain presuppositions. It doesn't matter what your theory of knowledge is. It doesn't matter, what you consider yourselves on a philosophical scale. There's certain presuppositions you need to operate under. I operate under 2 primary suppositions. One, that my senses are reliable, including my mind's ability to reason, and that 2, the universe, nature, acts in a uniform and predictable manner. Now, what Darth does is he takes that an extra step, and he has presuppositions that are likened to that, but then he says that those presuppositions cannot be accepted unless they are grounded in God.
Yes.
Okay. So his baseline presupposition is God, and that all intelligibility and facts come from God. And the problem with that is there's no explanatory power to that at all. And if you're going to say that all intelligibility and facts are grounded in God, you can just as easily say all intelligibility and facts are grounded in a.
Are you trying to say that A is not A, John? For Christ's sakes.
Well, right, but
you're over talking.
Just to finish my thought.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
What he does with God, you could just as easily say that all intelligibility and facts are grounded in a cosmic, all-powerful unicorn. I mean, that they have equal explanatory.
So you're saying you don't believe in the law of excluded middle?
10-4.
Well,
Jay threw me off there with my joke. I can't joke effectively.
Sorry, I didn't have time to mic before I answered the radio.
Oh, you're straight, man.
Actually, I was gonna say this just as an example. I don't presuppose anything. Oh shit, that doesn't work now, does it? Because I have to presuppose that you guys understood what I just said.
Right.
But the way Dee does it, it's more like it's even more childish than that. It's like, don't you see that pink unicorn over there? And like, no, I don't. Explain to me how it doesn't exist, then, loser. Like, what the fuck? Like that's not.
Well, that's the thing. And starting with God, you have to have some evidence for that first to point to say, okay, this is why I have this presupposition. He can't do that. I mean, all he does is deny reality exists, so his stupid fucking God can be a thing.
But here's the trick. Here's the trick he's playing, though. Is what he is saying is, and I've heard other apologists say this, is what he's saying is that God is axiomatic. God, we don't have to prove that God exists because he's axiomatic. It's the bottoming of my reason. It's where it all comes from. And it's kind of a epistemological trick to where he doesn't have to explain himself. He doesn't have to, like you say, Tenta, I say, he doesn't have to show any concrete evidence that God exists. He says nonsensical things like natural.
That's the problem, though. He does have to do that because he's making a declaration of something.
Let me finish my thought, though. He says not like nonsense like natural revelation. Which essentially natural revelation boils down to look at the trees. Okay, it's like natural revelation means nothing. Yes, nature exists, the universe exists, but that is not probative of whether a God exists. And he literally says he knows God exists from natural, special, and what's the other one, Jay? Natural, special, and personal revelation.
No. I have heard he can't claim that last one. I've heard him specifically say he has not received revelation from God on anything. So if he claims that third one, he's a fucking liar. He can track down the video and show it to him himself. Yeah, because I have seen videos where he claims he has not received revelation from God.
He's actually taken both stands. He contradicts himself like the Trump administration. I mean, it's really hard to keep track of all the different
Trump regime, you mean?
The Trump regime.
Real quick, I want to say
it is.
A special hello to Matthew Overstreet in the side chat, old school friend. What up, Matt? Disappointing, Darth. If you're listening, you said that you was gonna come in tonight. You can come in and it'll be you and John, and y'all can do y'all's thing, and you can address maybe some of the things that some of the folks have said, which are some of the things that everybody says about that punk ass. But I called it all along. I said that you're too bitch made to show up. If we're not going to come into your Discord server, we're not going to see Darth here.
I'm not going anywhere he can control anything.
May I suggest something?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Not to tell you how to run your channel, but maybe if you offered to put us backstage, so it's just you and John and him on the stage.
Guess who just got in the side chat?
Well, but guess what?
All right, crybaby.
That's that, Jay. That was going to happen anyway.
So hey, real quick. I just sent him a message that's saying that they're waiting for you. He replied with K. So he knows that this is going on.
The resounding K.
Well, he is in the side chat now. He said just got online, so I threw the link into the side chat. Darth, come on in, and
I'll drop out.
It'll be just you and John at first, and then you can address some of the things that you've.
Yeah, none of you have to drop out, but we might do what Jay said, and we'll stick you backstage for a few minutes.
I don't even think we have to do that. I mean, I'm going to just sit here and chill and listen and have fun. We can all do that until it's time, I think. John, you're in control, John. So it's your show.
Leo, can you control yourself?
Who, me?
I'm asking Leo.
We shall see. So let me throw it on to where everybody can see. So I'm going to turn my camera off, John. Darth is here, my dude.
Hi, Darth.
Okay, so you were objecting to my biblical worldview. So go ahead, John.
Well, I just have a question I want to ask you first, and I used my dunce avatar here for you today because obviously I'm not as smart as you are, Darth. But when you say all the facts you're acquainted with, and that intelligibility itself is indicative of the existence of God, you can only do so by first determining that God exists. How is it that you determine that God exists?
Repeat the question.
You say that all facts that you're acquainted with or that anybody is acquainted with, and that intelligibility itself is indicative of the existence of God.
Yes.
But you can only do that if you first determine that God exists. How is it that you've determined that God exists?
Through his revelation.
What type of revelation?
Natural and special revelation.
There's no such thing as natural revelation.
And do you have an argument for that?
Yes. Nature exists, the universe exists, but in no way does that indicate the need for a supernatural being.
Okay. So how did you determine that all the facts that you're acquainted with do not necessitate referencing God?
Well, we're not going to run your script here tonight. I've heard you ask that question.
No, you made a statement. You made an assertion.
I did make a statement.
You made an assertion. I'd like you to explain it.
Nature, you're the one that needs to explain, okay? Because nature exists. I'm agreeing with you. Nature exists. The universe exists. But you're claiming, and you could say it's just the form of a question, but you're claiming that nature existing, that the universe existing, is indicative of a supernatural being that you call God. Please substantiate that.
Okay. The only way that there can be facts that are interpreted, is you're going to have a metaphysic, and that metaphysic is going to have to be a closed system, right? I'll explain it. I'll explain it. You're going to keep on interrupting me?
I'm asking you why.
Tell me when you're done interrupting.
Well, you're calling someone out for interrupting? Seriously?
Are you done interrupting?
Well, I don't know. Am I?
I mean, if you want to continue to make a fool out of yourself,
I'm not making a fool out of myself, Darth. I'm giving you the same thing you give everybody else.
No, you're being rude.
No, I'm not being rude. I'm not being rude.
So are you done interrupting?
Sure, if you answer my question. Why is the last statement you made true?
Okay. Now I'll continue where I left off when you were so rudely interrupting.
Right. Well, you're going to ask me
now. Okay, you're interrupting. You're interrupting again.
We're not going to go further.
So is this the game? Is this the game you're going to play?
No, it's not a game.
Tell me when you're done interrupting.
Look, dude, you ask people questions. I'm asking you questions today.
I'm explaining it, and you're interrupting me.
And if you don't answer my questions, I'm going to treat you the same way you treat everybody else when they don't answer your questions.
Are you done interrupting?
Again, answer my question.
Are you done interrupting?
Okay. Again, please substantiate the claim.
Are you okay? Are you going to let me continue answering you?
I'm not going to continue you running your script.
Then John. There's no point. And there's no point in talking with you, John. Then we're done talking because you keep on cutting me off in the midst of
because you have not answered my question.
Which is tactic.
You asked me to repeat my question, which I was very nice to do. And you still have not answered it. And then you made a subsequent claim, and I asked you
listen. If you're going to mute my microphone, whoever did, while this a-hole keeps on interrupting me, there's no point in me staying. Okay? You invited me on the show. Okay?
Right. Are you going to answer my question?
I'm talking to the rage.
Darth,
now, are you done?
Oh,
okay,
hey, don't
last
talk to rage.
chance. Are you done interrupting?
This is my fucking room, you piece of shit.
Okay, if you interrupt me again, I will leave the broadcast. Okay.
Well, I know because you're a pussy.
Bye, Felicia.
No. Okay. Now, the reason why there can only be facts in a God world is because facts require a closed system as opposed to an open system, which I will begin to explain. In a closed system, certain things are possible and certain things are impossible, which means that if anything can happen as opposed to a closed
Okay,
system,
Darth, I'm gonna stop you.
okay, all right, we're done. We're done.
You
We're
still
done.
didn't answer my
Bye-bye.
question. How did you
John,
determine
if
God
you're going
exists?
to be
How did
a
you
complete
determine that God
asshole,
exists?
John? Okay,
How did you
interrupting
determine
me?
that
Okay,
God
we're done.
exists? Darth, how did you determine that God exists?
Well, that didn't take long, John. That didn't take long at all. So the audience didn't hear what I told the room because I have too many mute buttons. I didn't mute Darth Dawkins. That must have been John. That didn't take long, John. Yeah.
No, I didn't think it would.
John, I'm disappointed. You had one job, and that was to string him along for 40 minutes. 40 minutes until Knock could light that dumpster.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
But he evaded the question from the go.
Right from Jump Street, and he
tried to go on a diatribe,
interrupting, and then he called me out for muting him. Darth interrupts everybody. Darth mutes anybody that doesn't follow a script. The question I asked was actually based on a question that he asks everybody. You know, but he turns around. How did you determine that God does not exist? And mine was, how did you determine God exists? After the preface to it, and he would not answer that. My next question for him was going to be, why does there need to be anything that is ultimate and absolute for reality to be coherent? Because that's his other favorite claim to make that he never substantiates. I mean, the thing is, Darth is a horrible interlocutor. He has horrible arguments. He couldn't come in here and have an actual conversation or answer some questions, which was
but to string him. Well, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
No.
I thought you were.
Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the ways that just my little critique, not saying that you're wrong at any point here, but if you want to kind of keep it going, is just to say, no, all right, go ahead. The only time, if you really want to kind of keep him going, it's when it's only up to the point to where he starts trying to turn it onto you. Then that's when you can kind of jump in and say, no, this isn't about me right now. I'm asking the questions, because he will do that. And once he shows that, then that it shows that he's now trying to turn it onto you, so he can now run his script on you instead of you inquiring of him.
Right. He'll never sit still and answer questions. And Sexy Calzone, we don't time people out for taking shots at people. Only if they're going to. There's only two reasons to time anybody out. One, if they use a racial slur or a homophobic slur, something like that, or if they come in here and start talking about Knox's daughter. Those are the only two reasons to time someone out. The fact that Mosh took a shot at me, that's a badge of honor. Mosh is an ignorant piece of shit. So please don't time him out again.
Yeah, I always felt bad that I could only last 20 minutes in a room with Darth, but fucking Darth could only last 5 minutes in a room with John. Holy shit, dude.
Right.
He does.
The reason I cut him off is because as Tentaise said, he wasn't answering my question. And then he wanted to blather on and on with something that I've heard him say literally hundreds of times before. Because I go and watch all those fucking videos that Tom Rabbit puts out. I go and watch all the videos that Darth's Greatest Hits puts out. And there's another one that's kind of like a gaming channel, but they have Darth content too.
Well, I did a little bit of refamiliarizing myself with him today. I watched T-Jump's conversation with him. I thought Floyd FP's conversation with him was fucking great. You asked the question that he never wants to answer, and that's how does he get God to be A, right? Because you could put anything as A, fucking unicorn shitting pixie dust across the universe can be A, and then you're arguing not A by saying no, it's not the unicorn shitting pixie dust.
My favorite.
The guy that best deals with him is Destiny. You can check Destiny against Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, that was a good one. You know who else?
Yeah.
You know, and I might be taking the words out of Leo's mouth, but I thought the best interaction with Darth was done by Pine Creek. Pine Creek talked to Darth one day in a hangout, and he was able to turn the tables on Darth, and Darth put up with it. Pine Creek was able to ask Darth a series of questions and suss out his, epistemological foundation.
I was going to say Shannon Q, but yeah, I'm not.
Shannon
Q did a very good job. Yeah.
Pine Creek handled his discussion with Darth Dawkins like he was driving a stagecoach filled with nitroglycerin across.
You want to know?
Like he was very.
I want to see Darth Dawkins. I want to see Darth Dawkins have a discussion with, just because. Oh my God, this guy would blow him so far out of the water that not even the Hubble fucking Space Telescope could find him. Graham Oppie.
Yeah, he was banning me from a server, by the way, just now. Because I went in the server. He's like, "How dare you say I'm a coward?" I'm like, "Well, did you leave? Did you leave? You didn't answer the question."
If he's not a coward, let him come back.
And the funny thing is, he left because I was emulating his normal tactics.
Right, and then I had to say,
he was being consistent
and really piss him off.
He was being consistent within that tactic. I mean, he kicks people as fast as he runs away. So really, it seems
that's a great point. That's a great point.
I'm sorry, I greatly
overestimated.
Estimated?
Yes, thank you. I greatly overestimated him. He couldn't even last half a second with Arnold.
Lisa, you haven't even seen. If you go to Tom Rabbit's channel, you can watch some of the best explosions from Darth Dawkins. He goes off on some of his conversations.
And only
mythical.
some. What was the one that he really went off? And this was, I think, in a Google Hangouts. Who the fuck was it? Like, he blew the fuck up on him. Oh my God, I can't.
There's many out there. You can find them on Tom Rabbit.
Chris Attlee, the atheist pastor, I thought handled him pretty well.
Oh yeah, that was a great interaction. I saw that.
Snake was right. Did a pretty good job. I saw that one on MDD. Snake was right. It was just like he'd say something, and Snake's just like, no, you don't. You don't know that. Nope, that's not true.
If you guys want a channel, if you guys want to know a channel where some of those older arguments that he gave were refuted using philosophy, Darwin's Greatest Hits. He's got some oldies and some goodies on there.
Yeah.
Did you guys, anybody ever see his interactions with Alex Malpass?
Yeah, those are good too.
I'm thoroughly disappointed. I thought I'd get my 40 minutes in. Like, I am pissed.
No,
Darth, you're such a bitch.
You're way overweight.
Please don't tell me he uses the Ica Stones.
Oh, I doubt it.
I don't know what that is.
The Ica Stones are an old Matt Powell argument. So the Ica Stones we're supposedly depicting dinosaurs with man, but they also depicted aliens, and they were also proven to be frauds. So
he did them. So
if I'd been in his room and he had asked me a question, and I tried to bloviate on and on like he did, what would have happened to me?
He would have screamed, "I'm not going to let you go on with rhetoric," and he would mute you, and then he would fucking kick you out.
You dishonest atheist,
Yeah, he accused you of being dishonest and duplicitous and other D's.
Well, I mean, at least he shows. I mean, he only showed for 5 minutes, but the thumbnail's not a lie now. So
It just reminded me of something you could do. Hey, Darth, are you coming in here to run your script of D's? D's what? D's nuts.
I just wanted to ask him one question, and that was, would you be willing to come on my channel, have a discussion sometime? He probably doesn't remember me, but I know him from his time on Pal Talk, like 3-4 years ago.
Well, I mean, he'll talk to anybody on his Discord server if he's there.
Of course,
because he's been.
He's in control.
Yeah, he's been absent for a while.
One of the greatest interactions I saw with him was he was fucking with somebody on Discord who had mods, and he was trying to get rid of him and mute him, but the guy just kept bringing himself back and unmuting himself, and Darth just lost his shit.
Oh yeah, he kept screaming, "I'm gonna go to Doobie! I'm gonna go to Doobie!"
He got banned from a Christian Discord server.
John, I thought you asked him a very reasonable question.
Yeah, but they weren't the right questions that relay back to what Darth can run on his script to try and turn it around on John, to try and make John look like he doesn't know anything or can say anything. So they weren't the right questions. It doesn't matter if they were good questions and he couldn't answer them. They weren't the right questions for Darth because he's got a little booklet in front of him and he reads off of it. It's just like when you call into tech support. Did you turn the computer on? Okay. Is the screen on? Okay. That's Darth. That's how he runs. His whole argument is boiled down to stuff is here, therefore God.
Yeah.
That little tray that pops out when you hit that button, that is not for your coffee mug.
Darth hasn't figured out that is one of the things that I like about when he starts going into his conversations about, well, it has to be absolute, and these facts have to refer back to something absolute, and they have to reference this, yada yada. It's like, okay, let's concede the fact that all the stuff that you just said, for the purposes of rhetoric, are true. Now, how are they actually the case in the world?
Well, and even let's grant that. Let's even grant that this absolute whatever has to be God. How does that get us to his God?
Well, he would say it's impossible for it not to be, but his issue is always that he equates like this kind of rhetorical argument with what is actually the case. That like just because you can create a model and within that model, it's rhetorically more likely or absolutely necessary for his particular stance to work. That doesn't have anything to do with that actually reflecting the real state of affairs in the real world. And he seems to think that if I can figure it out, if I can craft this rhetorical little argument, then I can just say that represents the real world. Like you haven't demonstrated that these are connected.
Oh yeah,
you have a little exercise, and it might kind of work, and it's kind of. I mean, ontological arguments basically screw up the same way. You can get them to work on paper. You start applying them to the actual state of affairs, they fall apart, and they're not convincing. They're very rarely persuasive.
Most of them are very non-sequitorial, also.
And there's a lot of pleading, question.
Special pleading, begging a question.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said when he brought up natural revelation, that's why I said, well, that's not a pleading.
Well, God is not special pleading. That is an argument which I see very frequently being brought up by atheists. But God is in a special category, so he must be special.
Special pleading.
That in and of itself, what you just said is special.
No, actually,
I am agreeing that God is special. So yes, I am pleading speciality for God.
The fact that you're saying that God has his own category, that is the epitome of special pleading.
No, not necessarily.
And I think the problem is justified because God is above his creation.
Tangelo, the issue, it's not special pleading necessarily. It's special pleading if you say God's special and then you try to insert him in as an X exists. That's the problem.
Well, that's what he's doing when he says God's is in his own category or he's above his creation.
It's not.
If you've got to do that, then your argument is destroyed from the beginning.
Yeah, if you say that God is special, great. But as soon as you start trying to say God works these ways, God functions these ways, as if he's this, as if he's that, and then when somebody backs that and says, okay, well, it functions like this, what about these other properties that, oh, well, in this case, it doesn't work that way. That's when it turns into special pleading. That's the problem. It's okay. You can start with the fact that God's in a special category, but as soon as you try to explain how he works, why he works, what he does, you start getting into parameters of comparing him to actual things. And that's usually when people are like, okay, well, is he actually evil? Is he sometimes good? Does he make mistakes? Does he change his mind? And then all of a sudden that stuff doesn't apply to him. That's when the special pleading starts.
And I wish I'd gotten asked my second question. And then the third thing I wanted to go into him with is I've heard him say in several hangouts that not only is God the grounding of all intelligibility and facts, but that God is I can't remember the exact wording he used, but optimally or maximally truthful, that he cannot have any or give any untruthful facts, something of that nature. And I wanted to call him out on, well, wait a minute, God lied more than once in the Bible. Like the primary example for me is when he asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. Was it? I'm asking the spatchcocks. Was it Isaac?
Yeah, I think it. I think in most gospels it's Isaac. I think it is disputed on what's. Well, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
But at any rate, so since God is omniscient and God knew when he asked Abraham to do that, he knew at the time he asked him to do it that he wasn't going to have him go through with it. That's the definition of a lie.
When he already knew that Abraham would do it as well.
Well, that's the interesting thing, though. That's because for a lot of Christians reading back into it, they're reading back in omniscient traits into the God described in the Old Testament. But it's very hard for a lot of Old Testament scholars to see that that's how, when those stories were being crafted, that God was operating that way. That particular God in that narrative didn't know what Abraham was going to do.
Duncan is still in the side chat, so whether he's lurking, whatever he's doing, I do want to say you can come back in, Darth. John is gonna, y'all are gonna have your moment, and you should be able to be a big boy and suffer through that. And then, I know several of us had questions and hopes of and aspirations of digging into that ass as well. So I mean, come back in. I'm totally. We have Otangelo here. I'm interested. I'm interested in Otangelo's
I will
opinion
leave because I have a chat that speech channel in 5 minutes. But I want also to invite him because I disagree with his method of approach. I think it is not productive. He uses very confused and incomprehensible language and questions, which I even do not understand. And I think this is not a good method to reach out to atheists.
And that's what I like about you, Otangelo, is you're not afraid to call out the bullshit that Christians put out there. So,
hey, real quick before we get too far past, I just want to respond to Jefferson.
Okay, bye guys. Thank you for having me.
Yep, thanks for stopping in, Otangelo.
Omniscience aside, whether God has omniscience or not, when he asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, he knew it. He himself, God, knew at that time he was not going to have Abraham go through with it. So that is, by definition, a lie.
Wouldn't God have to?
What?
Yeah, but wouldn't God have to do that in order to enact the scenario, in order to demonstrate Abraham's faith?
Well, but whatever the reasoning is behind it, it still negates the statement that God cannot lie. God lied in that situation. It doesn't matter what his motives were. It doesn't matter what he was trying to achieve. He lied to Abraham.
Yeah, you're right. That'd be more like the ends justify the means kind of thing. The means were for him to do this, but yes, technically it would still be a lie.
Well, he lied right off the bat with Adam because he told Adam, the day you eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you're going to die. And he didn't die.
The snake knew what was up.
Exactly. The devil was the only one telling the truth in that whole story.
Yeah, I don't know anybody reads the Bible and determines that God is the good guy in that story.
Yeah, I was answering him. Matt's an old friend of mine, and he's Luciferian, I believe. I was answering him. The apologetic is they say that, well, God didn't lie because Adam and Eve didn't die spiritually. And I'm like, that's not what the text says. Again, God can't use his words, and he can't say spiritual death. He said death, but he meant spiritual death. God can't use his words. But that's the apologetic.
Well, I don't care what the apologetic is. The fact of the matter is that God lied. He said Adam would die in the day that he ate of the fruit, and he didn't. Now, anybody with any sense is going to know that means physical death. That's just a given, And also, you've got to understand these, also Christians, they're going to say stuff like, well, the snake is the devil. Well, you know what? Genesis 1, or Genesis 2, rather, or Genesis 3. I don't know what the fuck ever. So, somewhere in Genesis.
The Bible says a lot of things.
It never says the serpent is Satan. That is a Christian interpolation from the Revelation.
That's true.
That's all it is.
Yeah, it literally says serpent. It doesn't say snake. You don't even really have a picture of what it's talking about. You have to assume that, I believe, you have to assume it's pre-losing the legs. So even if it is a snake, it has legs, because God would later curse the snake. After the lie, God would curse the snake and remove the snake's legs. So, yeah, I mean...
I have another interpretation. I think that when they say snake, I think what they're talking about is Adam's fig leaf fell off. And and he was telling Eve, hey, why don't you lick these apples here under the snake? Why don't you?
It's getting graphic in here, man.
Yeah. Here's something kind of interesting. So, in the verse, this is in the ESV, but the serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like God, knowing good and evil." So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate.
Yeah. So Adam was there and didn't stop her. He wasn't an alpha.
I'm with John. They were knocking it out.
And also, isn't it interesting that God didn't come until after Adam ate? So it's not the woman that cursed mankind. It was Adam that cursed mankind. If you believe the story, which I don't, it's a bunch of bullshit. But I mean,
I believe the story in the show Lucifer, where basically there's a part in it where one of the other angels asks Lucifer, he goes, "You mean like what you did with Dad's creation?" He goes, "Oh, that's nothing." He goes, "You had an orgy with Adam and Eve."
Like I don't
think God would be mad about that?
I don't get Moshe MYYM's comment. And yeah, funny how it went real quick from Darth Dawkins being a bitch made to the conversations I love the most. But I don't understand your comment. Like, hey, panel, tell me, why is the Hebrew word for dying in that verse twice? LOL. That's what we're saying. Is God said that they would die and they didn't die. So I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
And normally the apologetic is, it's a spiritual death and not the physical death.
Yeah, and
because that's just a rationalization to make sense of the text, because they can't make sense of it otherwise.
But the funny thing is,
what all apologetics is?
Exactly.
The funny thing is, the Jews don't believe in a spirit, so how can it be spiritual death?
Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all, because I mean, they would go on to live, or like Adam would live for like 930 years. So I mean, he lived for a long time with a spirit that I would assume would eventually die and hasn't been saved by Jesus Christ, so doesn't even have a chance to go to heaven.
Well, and here's the thing is that because it was God saying that to him, if it was going to be a spiritual death, then essentially what God was saying to them is, if you eat of that tree, you'll be dead to me. So, I mean, like Leo said earlier, or somebody said, why didn't he, it was Knock that said it, why didn't he use his word? Why wasn't he specific? If the apologetic is true, why didn't he say that? Why did he say you will die the same day that you eat the fruit?
Like Darth,
literal death.
Sorry, Darth, you're just hanging around. You're lurking. You're hanging around. You want to come back in. Like you want to come back in. You want to show that awful horse-faced John Peterson what's up. I think you should do it. I really do. I don't think you should be a little pussy.
Well, Stephen,
is he?
Yeah,
in the?
he was.
I can't see him. He must have blocked me.
Well, no, he's lurking. You have to type in his name at Duncan Atheism, and he's there. It comes up. He's lurking. He's not saying anything.
Oh, okay.
Well, look, Darth, all you got to do is answer his question straight up.
Yeah, he can't
That's all
do
you
that.
got to do.
If you answer his questions, I'll answer yours, Darth.
Actually, what would be great is if he answers the question, you go, no, you got to answer the question right, motherfucker.
Jay, you're over talking me, Jay. You're over talking me. I can't with that joke.
I'm trying, Leo. I'm trying to make a point. Why can't I ask you some? You're over talking. I will leave.
Jay, you're not answering the question. In your worldview, what is the metaphysical primary for all facts and knowledge?
Fucking me.
And look, what Darth is doing is he's got like this rhetorical framework that's almost as convoluted as like the entire Star Wars saga, and he has to explain that to you to set up. Okay, now that I've given you the framework and painted this picture, come at me. Like what?
Can we do and then let's get on a ship and go to Tatooine.
Can we do a sound check for Steven really quick? He asked in the chat, can you hear me say something?
Hear me? He's really low.
It's quiet, but yes. Everybody ask me.
Yeah, I meant a while ago to say what's up to Rib there, and I got sidetracked with the side chat probably. But what's up, Rib?
No, it's just because Darth was in the Reformation Discord server, and like he was railing into somebody, and then he got a call. So I don't know if like he just hasn't left here, like on his end, or what the story was, but he's actually on a phone call right now. That's not to defend him. I'm just, saying.
Well, and like somebody said, I was on mobile, so I can't see him. But they're saying that on computer, if you start typing his name in, he's popping up for your message. His name is popping up, so that means he's here, but he's just not posting anything. And hey, Darth, come on in. Your favorite person is here. Jack showed up. Come on.
Who's
Jack Angstretch is here. Come on in, Darth.
Well, yeah,
I did. Hey, I'm not Darth.
Well, I think Rib is saying that he's actually in a different argument.
No, I know. But I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody on this panel made the reference of MK. I need moderation. MK. I need moderation.
The next person that comes in and says, "Hey, I'm not Darth," but then it's like, prepare to get treated like him then, and then we just let
I need to ask a question to somebody that might know YouTube and their algorithm a little better than me. I have been told, and I don't know if this is true, that even if somebody shows up in the side chat and then leaves, that if you at their name, they'll still show up even though they're not actually in the side chat. Is that true? Or to at them, do they
maybe that's
please people start fucking adding him, please.
Hey, did you guys hear that YouTube is now deleting videos that claim election fraud?
As of today, anything
good fucking deal. It's about time.
Good. Yeah. And everybody always talks about the free speech. The thing that people don't understand is that the first point I want to make is that under the U.S. Constitution, free speech doesn't mean that privatized corporations can't censor whatever the fuck they want. Now,
exactly.
You get a company as big as Google, there are going to be some legal restrictions there. But what it said is that the government cannot censor what you're saying. Secondly, free speech does not mean unlimited ability to say whatever the fuck you want, whenever, in any circumstance. There's reasons why legally you can't walk into a movie theater and shout fire at the top of your lungs. People don't understand what it means.
Well, now, you can't walk into a movie theater and yell fire. That you don't have the freedom of speech to say that. I can, at any time I want, say hashtag John Maddox as a grifter.
Yes.
And that's covered under free speech. Okay.
How do you substantiate the existence of the fire or the theater in your worldview? Huh?
Well, I would probably just stick your hand in the fucking fire in the middle of the theater.
My senses are lying to me as it curls.
But wait a minute.
Yeah. There's the denial of reality we have to go to.
Wait a minute. Wait. The other side of that coin is it okay to yell movie in a crowded firehouse?
Absolutely. I'm going to declare it. It is.
Did that once at a bonfire and somebody ran through the fire. Yeah, it was terrible.
You mean I can't watch Paula White lose her shit anymore?
Oh,
you can watch that. You can watch that all the time.
One of the funniest.
She's like
one of the funniest people who lost their shit over this whole election thing. The My Pillow guy.
Oh Lord,
he was on some heavy fucking copium. I tell you what, because that guy was going the fuck off.
Well, what about Michelle Bachmann?
I don't know that. Oh, Michelle Bachmann. Yeah, Did anybody watch the debate between Kelly Loeffler and Raphael Warnock? Like, she was literally a robot the whole time. Radical liberal Raphael Warnock.
Well, those
like
were
literally every time.
Those were transmissions being beamed into her Android replica, right?
That's what I heard.
No, she literally had a wire in that debate.
So you're saying she was an automaton because she had wires coming out of her?
No, not
no. I was
the
just
wires.
saying that somebody was feeding her talking points because she had a wire.
Yeah.
But I was watching Vosh review that, and like, dude, she literally repeated the same fucking things every time she opened her mouth.
I wanted to clarify something for Lisa. Lisa, for truth, YouTube is actually YouTube is going to start blocking those videos from videos posted as of today going forward, but they're not going into retroactive ones. So all the Paula White ones that are out there, those are still there. So
is Paula White that lady, the preacher that freaked out? And they made they made a bunch of videos about her.
They're coming here.
Striking.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, that is fucking amazing, and I have it as my ringtone.
And then she started going off in tongues. Yeah. I'm like,
and the angels are coming from Africa right now.
How about fucking what's his name?
Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah, laugh.
Somebody must have blown the wind of God over him.
Or the bulb thing.
Yeah.
God, that was so funny. You know,
this has probably been the best period of just Christian locals that we've ever had since Trump lost the election. I'm not going to lie.
I was waiting for her to say waka 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 during that whole thing. When she starts praying in tongues, I start trying to twerk like yeah. You know, like,
she said kamalaka paka kaka.
That would have made it.
She said kaga kaku paka. I'm a chameleon.
But I had a question for Jeff. I think, and correct me if this is going to be more of a statement than I want you to either affirm it or correct it if it's wrong, that they started pulling down all the election fraud stuff because yesterday, the 8th, was the last day that states had to actually certify their results. So pretty much all the states have certified that Biden won the election.
Yeah, most of them. Yeah,
they're just like it's them getting results getting overturned is pretty much not going to happen unless the Supreme Court tried. And like I've said numerous times, if the Supreme Court tries to overturn this election, which they're already not because they know they don't really. They would if they had a legal argument. If they had a legal argument, they try it. They're not trying because they don't have a legal argument.
And
if they just try, they'd have 30 plus states coming at them, and it would be the biggest legal shit show this country has ever seen. And it's 47-year history, something like that. 245.
And the Supreme Court, I mean, they denied the Pennsylvania one, and they didn't even cite a reason, and there were no objections. They're just like denied. So
Nate Brody did a video tonight. I'm pretty sure he was reporting that the Supreme Court denied this Texas thing too. I mean, he did it like right before this video started.
It was one sentence.
Yeah, so pretty much his only recourse now is military coup, which they're actually considering, instating martial law, and I don't know what it's about, but CNN's reporting that Hunter Biden is under federal investigation now, so I'm not sure what that's about.
Yeah, and
they've been trying for that for months.
That's not that Hunter Biden really did anything, though I'm not going to lie, there might be something that comes out of it. That's just the Trump administration. But I've heard from a couple people that know infinitely more than I do on this, that even through declaring martial law, the Constitution still that says that wouldn't necessarily halt Biden taking office on the 20th of January. That there really isn't any solid way that Trump can literally hold on to power. There just isn't.
Well,
the Constitution literally forbids, and my dad was in the military, so this is how I know this. The Constitution literally forbids the U.S. military from taking any action on U.S. soil.
Yeah, that's what the National Guard is for. What were originally the militias, the state militias, yeah. You cannot deploy federal troops.
There is precedent, though. There is precedent. Reagan deployed federal troops, active duty troops, during his marijuana burnings in California. That was back in the 80s. And that had a little bit of that.
Yeah, but that's not because it was constitutionally allowed. That's because we've let our democracy be whittled away to the point that these kinds of events can happen.
Yeah, but I mean, it was something that happened.
There is precedent, yes.
The issue that happens is, like, let's say that he tries to impose some kind of. First of all, he doesn't have the grounds to impose martial law. But let's say that he tries to put out the command anyway. Active duty military doesn't have to. They don't have to acknowledge it. They don't have to, especially if it's an unlawful law. They don't have to follow it, even if it's coming from the quote unquote commander in chief. He's a civilian commander, and he's trying to get them to deploy here because he believes the country is what there's an election, and that's somehow a coup. That's a problem. So I doubt they're going to be super excited about that. Even if he tries to put an operation into place, it doesn't change the fact that by the time Biden gets inaugurated, all he has to do is he's going to become the new commander in chief, and then Trump's going to get walked out of the White House if he hasn't left already. And so any command he puts in place are just going to get superseded.
And that's what I think is going to happen. I think the people around him know that that's what's going to happen. So they're trying to talk him out of that because he wants to do the shit. And they're like, what the fuck are you thinking? He's getting closer and closer to the day when he gives that order and the military is like, you're under arrest. It's over.
He's never going to try that.
I just want to
try that.
I want to welcome Darth Dawkins' girlfriend to the stream.
Hello.
Hi, Tino.
I've been waiting for him to show up, and he just comes in and he just leaves like a whirlwind.
Yeah, right. It was more like a fart in a car, less like a whirlwind.
If Trump tries that, the military is just going to give him a big fuck you.
Yeah, the military's never liked Trump. I mean, why would they?
The Republican Party hasn't even liked him. They just accepted him because they knew that they could use him as a tool to get all their agenda passed. That's it. That's literally it. Why do you think Mitch McConnell has been more or less silent on this whole issue? Because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about Trump. They picked Trump up because he was a tool for them to pass their agenda, and they're going to drop him as swiftly as they picked him up. And I don't think that Trump knows that, and I don't think he's ready for it either.
They made hay while they could. The fact that he blew through their entire tier 1 talent line in 2016 and wiped them out in the primary. There were plenty of people. I mean, even Lindsey Graham was complaining about Trump. Once they got him in there, Mitch McConnell basically patted everybody on the head, got him lined up, and was like, "Look, we're just going to use this dope to get in as many judgeships as we can." And they basically got on the line with the Federalists, and they chalked up their list. I don't think there was any consideration from Trump about any judicial nominees because he's a ding dong. He wouldn't know one way or the other. That these guys walk in and they're just like, here's a list of people that we say are good ideologically. Pick any of them. And he started.
I need to say something. Chris Keith said in the side chat, love him or hate him, Trump ain't going silently into the night. Wait and see. No, he's not going silently into the night. He's going to be dragged out kicking and screaming like that little thing where he's on the bouncy ball, that Comedy Central comedy sketch. And he's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
He's just doing this to keep the keep himself in the news cycle long enough.
Trump TV.
To keep getting that money. He's getting.
Come in by any means, Chris Keith, because we're into politics now. We're gonna go till about 9. Darth was in and out. Wham bam, thank you, man, with Darth tonight. So yeah, we'll go to 9. But I find it sad when any American citizen is going to be proud of the behavior of Donald Trump and what he's done to the democracy. Which I think we need to burn the motherfucker down anyway and start over, but that's just me. If you pretend to care about the Constitution, you pretend to care about this country, you're the party of Americans, and you're gonna sit there and applaud this child as he has a fucking hissy fit because he lost. I find that to be terribly sad. And you can come in and defend yourself if you'd like.
Hey, so anyway, will after he leaves, at any point in the near future, will Donald Trump end up in prison?
Oh hell no! I don't think so.
Well, what? I really wish we could send the fucker to Gitmo.
I'm still for getting rid of Gitmo altogether. I would have said no yesterday. Today I was reading stuff. The Southern District is like. They're just pretty much waiting for the day, right? So, like, he's going to be out of office the 20th, 21st. You're probably going to see some indictments come down on Donald Trump. So, I think it's a possibility. Now, will it happen? I'm not sure.
He's a traitor, pure and simple. He's a traitor.
Well,
Donald Trump will not go to prison, and I can tell you why.
The only thing that would make Trump a more spectacular president if he's the first president that does real jail time. I mean, I'm just saying. And he can still do TV.
That won't happen. Do you want to know why that won't happen?
Why, Leo?
Do you want to know why he won't go to jail? Because if Donald Trump gets sent to jail or goes to prison, that sets a precedent now for all presidents. Presidents don't want to go to prison. All presidents are. I don't give a fuck who you vote for or who you think, what party you support. Every president we have ever had has been corrupt and has broken the law. If we start setting a precedent for presidents to actually be punished when they leave office now, it'll never fucking stop.
Wait, hold on, slow your roll. The thing you're not understanding though is he's not going to go to jail for anything that he did while he was president. The indictments that are going to be charged against him come from the Southern District and from probably the state of Florida because of things he did in his business life.
Yeah. In his case, he's a little bit special.
I mean, yes, but he was still the president, and that still sets a precedent that the president can now go to prison, whether what he's going for was related to his tenure or not. They will not establish that precedent.
Hold on. Presidents are just Americans like the rest of us. When was it ever said a president can't go to prison?
Yeah, and the other thing too is
I didn't say that they can't. They won't let that precedent be set.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That's always been the standard. Yeah.
At a federal level, probably not, because like when the opportunity came up, the idea was, should the federal government prosecute Nixon, right? And then Ford pardons him. Well, that was the stuff that Nixon did while he was in the office. Those were federal crimes he could actually be pardoned for him. In this case, though, if the Southern District of New York is really chafing at the bit, to prosecute him for state level crimes for things that he did in his business, his organization, stuff before, and sometimes in some cases, I think they're even bringing up stuff that happened that was shenanigans that were going on during his campaign in 2016. If they bring that up, the feds can't do anything about it. They can't really wait. I mean, I suppose the Department of Justice could try to put their thumb on it, but they have to be really careful about that because it's really not any of their business. I don't think he'll go to jail, but I think that some of these states are going to create enough legal trouble for him that he's going to have to do a lot more creative money laundering to finance all of his legal bills.
I think he's going to lose all. I think the worst that's going to happen to him is he's going to be fined. He's going to lose all his assets and end up moving out of the fucking country to Russia or some stupid place. Who knows?
Well, I just hope that they're not. I'm using this metaphorically because I'm sure we don't have paper shredders and everything's not on paper. But I just hope that they're not getting rid of everything. And like say hypothetically, it comes out and the Ukraine situation was a lot worse, or we're able to see some private conversations between Trump and Russia that shows treason, and they were to release that. I think in that situation, we very well could see maybe a president go to court for the highest of crimes. The thing is, what Leo is saying is exactly true, is that no president has ever wanted to set the precedent of allowing a former president to go to prison, because then you're setting a precedent.
You then
in turn could go to prison for criminal activity. So,
Wouldn't it be
Obama broke the law. Bush broke the law. Clinton broke the law. Bush Sr. broke the law. I mean, almost every president has broken the law.
Okay, if Bush got away with it, Trump's probably going to get away with it.
Yeah, like I said, he'll go broke. He'll get a bunch of like $100 million something odd fines. He'll go broke, $100 million fines. He'll go broke and move out of the fucking country with his kids.
But as I said earlier, if he does move to Russia, maybe he can room with Snowden.
As is the case with Trump, he's so special that in this case, it's going to be like, he's going to be like, hey, I should get some kind of pass because I am a former president. And the Biden-Harris administration could just be like, that's at the state level, pal.
I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're going to wash their hands of it.
I don't care if he is the fucking president of the United States right now. That should not protect you.
You are 100% correct.
High treason.
Yes, it shouldn't, but it does.
It shouldn't have protected. It shouldn't have protected Trump back in the Mueller investigation. But Mueller was essentially a coward and kind of punted.
Well, it wasn't that he was a coward. It was that he had legal limitations to what he could say and what he could do, and he wanted to remain within those.
He chose to go.
The Trump administration couldn't come at him and look for.
He chose to remain within the DOJ guidelines, even though he was an independent prosecutor and didn't have to.
But he had an out. He didn't take it, because back when Clinton was impeached, who was the special prosecutor then?
Ken Starr.
Ken Starr, an attorney that Ken Starr ordered to write a paper on whether a sitting president can be charged, and they had a paper that they put out with the opinion that yes, a sitting president can be charged if they broke the law. I mean, he could have cited that precedent.
Oh yeah, they were talking about a Democrat though.
That goes against that goes against the Constitution, though. A president doesn't get charged; he gets impeached, and then by the House, and then the Senate chooses to either acquit or to actually indict them on the charges.
Well, yeah, but and that's the thing with the Southern District's charges. From what I understand, a lot of these charges come before he was president. So that's another thing. Like, because this dude's been a criminal for a long time, and he's been
a criminal
evading
his whole life. So with his father.
So a lot of these charges are, and that's what they were worried. If he won re-election, then he would beat the statute of limitations on a lot of these charges. So now that he's not reelected, and that, I mean, this is one of the reasons people think he's grasping with claws at anything that, like, he's literally not going to come out of there until they pull him out, is because he knows, like, the first day, the very next day, he's getting served, and it's going to be some serious shit. You know.
I did also want to touch on something you said earlier, Knock, about shredding papers, getting rid of all the information, covering up all the shit that Trump did that maybe nobody knows about. Everybody was talking about when he was firing all these people shortly after the election and hiring loyalists that, well, this was an attempt for him to try a coup. I don't think that's what it was at all. I can't remember what publication it was in, but I read an article that he's hiring all these people to do exactly that, to get rid of all the information, as much information as they can on all the criminal shit that him and his regime engaged in before, because even the people closest to him, Trump himself, he knows that there's no way out of this. He's going to be taken out of office one way or the other. So it's, well, let's just get rid of as much incriminating shit as we possibly can between now and January 20th.
Well, yeah, I have no doubt that that's what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and gin up enough attention so that
another thing is Trump is doing all this, stop the steal, they fraud to drum up so much attention in the media that they're all focused on that they have this window of opportunity where nobody's paying attention because they're all focused on that to actually get rid of
the
all
media.
Is
fucking frustrating. Like, the media is not even talking about, like, what did they talk about when Trump leaves? Oh, he's going to go and start his own network, and he's going to be the face of the Republican Party until the day he dies. I'm like, stop with that bullshit. Like, start giving a true narrative. Like, this was a traitor. This was a guy that fucking mishandled one of the biggest catastrophes to hit this country. Every single day we're having a Pearl Harbor now, and they're talking about how he's going to go on to be one of the richest media moguls there is. Fuck that. No, it's disgusting.
I have a slightly different take on that, because I wish nothing but success for Trump and his media ventures, because if that does happen and that works out for him and they whiff on this stuff and he ends up remaining a kingmaker for the Republican Party, it's what they deserve. They want, I think the majority of them want him to move on. He is going to screw with them. If he runs in if he's still alive,
look at what's happening now.
In 2024, he's going to fuck up their primary.
Look at what's happening now. There are literally Republicans in Georgia that are saying they're not going to vote for Loeffler or Perdue and are going after Kemp now because they won't come. Like, the Republican Party is eating themselves alive. That's why some of the high-profile Republican leaders like Mitch McConnell are trying to stay out of this. They want to just get over Trump and go back to the way things were before Trump. But that's not going to happen. And we want Trump to keep feeding into this because it will continue this great divide in the Republicans between, like, the moderates who just want to move on from Trump. And what I would argue is the much larger base of support for Trump just eating each other alive.
And Trump is lazy and cheap. Two really important considerations. So he's not going to start his own network. He and his kids are going to try to leverage Newsmax and OANN against each other and to see which one will feather their nest the best. And they can land there and try to be media personalities, sort of do like what a lot of administrative officials did with Fox News. The only problem is that Trump is no good at everything, and he's especially no good at TV. I mean, he's good at talking like he's Trump, which is basically, sounding like somebody who's got a closed head wound. But if he's going to continue to do that on that network, he's only going to attack the fringiest of attract the fringiest of the fringe. And it's just going to start to harden into that mold. And that's where the Republican Party, as soon as they get an opportunity to kind of tuck him over there and isolate him, they'll do it.
Hey, real quick, from the Black.org 343. Yeah, Darth was here. I asked him one question. that he couldn't answer, and then he got enraged that I was trying to make him answer the question. And he did his normal, "Are you done interrupting me? Are you done interrupting
Well,
me?"
that's definitely gonna be cut into a video. I mean, it's like 5 minutes. It's like perfect YouTube time. So.
Chris Keith in the chat says that we're all OD'd on CNN. And
I don't watch CNN.
Yeah,
ever.
I don't either. But we're OD'd on CNN, and we've got to stop our Trump hate.
I'm like really behind on my news.
The one thing I want to say about like CNN and MSNBC is everybody calls them these radical leftist websites or media outlets. They're not. They are not on the left. They're straightforwardly not on the. They attacked and smeared Bernie Sanders in 16 and 20. They rail against raising a minimum wage. They rail against universal health care. They rail against tuition for higher education. All of this stuff. They're nothing but neoliberal corporatist outlets. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. They're not.
CNN.
There is no left media in this country except for like maybe the Huffington Post and stuff like that, but they're not big. There just isn't. It's right-wing media, but this is the problem with Republicans. Anything to the left of Trumpism is radical leftism.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I agree. CNN is oligarch. Is like outright oligarch. MSNBC is oligarch, but it's even nastier because they try to pretend like they're progressive at least, and that's it's just a lie. Yeah.
And Chris is right. CNN is garbage news. So it's Fox.
So like, okay, so considering that Trump is like a bygone president at this point, but we still have to live with Mitch McConnell. How do you feel about Mitch McConnell giving Nancy Pelosi the quarter loaf after she complained about receiving a half loaf and then accepting the quarter loaf of a no stimulus package for American citizens?
As par for the course for Pelosi. I mean, the best thing the Democrats.
How do we get rid of her? Like,
you basically just have to expand the base of like the
you either have to do that. The only other way is that a lot of even your typical true blue Democrats are really not fans of Nancy Pelosi because they lost seats in the House. And a lot of that has to do with her awful leadership. So if in 2022 the Democrats lose more seats in the House, or if they lose the House, Pelosi's going to be out. I don't know how the fuck she keeps getting reelected because everybody talks about how left California is. California isn't leftist. They're liberal. There's a difference between being a liberal and being a leftist. Hillary Clinton, Barack, the people who rave about how great Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are liberals. The people who talk about like Bernie Sanders and AOC and those kind of politicians are leftists, and it's the leftists that actually have like they bitched about how the Democratic Party lost seats because of the socialism and the defund the police. Literally the opposite. The Democratic Socialists of America organization backed like what was it? Like 31 candidates or something like that. 26 of them got into office. 26 of them. It was the moderate Democratic candidates that lost. Yep. The radical leftists didn't lose because they're running on policy. The moderate Democrats are all just Trump bad, and that's it. The leftists are like, yeah, well, Trump is bad, but you are bad too because you both perpetuate the system. We actually have a vision for policies that actively help Americans. And there's a study that I read just yesterday. I think it was in. Oh,
please don't bring something up. Please don't bring something up on the computer and read it.
No, that was talking about how the people who are moderates actually are getting harder and harder to distinguish from conservatives. Because they pretty much are. They're conservatives who don't want to be known by the label conservative.
The problem with Democrats now, like I mean, the post-mortems that were happening after the election, that was a lot of the moderate, it's kind of center left, true blue Democrats or the blue dog Democrats, kind of railing against the progressives. So you guys went too hard on the BLM stuff. You went too hard on defund the police. You shouldn't have talked about Medicare for all. You need to back up off that stuff because that's what's costing us votes with working class whites. The funny thing is that particular group of Democrats is actually what a lot of working class whites kind of look at, and that's sort of like the managerial party, right? They haven't actually attracted a majority of white voters since the late 60s, early 70s. Mm-hmm. So they keep barking up the wrong tree with this stuff. It's like you guys don't have anything populist. You keep trying to say, oh, we can do these things for you, and then you get somebody like Pelosi who does exactly what Tioga said, where they end up negotiating from a position of weakness, and somehow end up coming out with even less than what you thought they were going to have to sell.
Well, how do you think we're
Amazing.
gonna like? Do you think we're gonna fare any better like in the upcoming years? I don't know.
No.
Like,
Well, the current negotiations broke down. Bernie Sanders was just on TYT right before this show started, and he was kind of talking about it. Pelosi found a little bit of gumption, not enough by far, and she's atrocious. And how do you turn down 1.6 trillion and then accept 900 billion? But because of the election, it's obvious.
Well,
but no,
partly.
so real quick, let me finish. Mitch turned this down, or actually Nancy Pelosi turned down Mitch McConnell this time because Mitch McConnell wanted to replace the unemployment insurance, the $300 added onto the unemployment insurance, with a one-time direct payment of $600. No, you, the math doesn't work out there, Mitch McConnell. You know what I'm saying?
But what Nancy Pelosi could have done is accepted that and gotten at least some cash into people's pockets directly, and then waited for Biden. Hold on, and waited for Biden to win, and wait for his administration to get in. And now that there's a Democratic administration, there's going to be more pressure from not just the other half of the legislative branch, but now the executive branch on the Republicans, assuming that they even retain the Senate, to actually pass something more substantive. But instead of doing that, what she did is she refused to pass something because she didn't want to make it look like the Republicans were the ones coming to them with the good ideas. That's what it was. She's playing the same fucking game that Mitch McConnell has been playing.
A one-time payment right before Christmas doesn't even pay the rent.
I'm not saying that it's a good idea. I'm saying that she is an idiot who's trying to do to Mitch McConnell what Mitch McConnell did to the Republicans.
I don't think you're understanding. Leo, a one-time payment, $600. So when you're getting unemployment, that's every 2 weeks. You get that $600. The next time you claim fucking unemployment, you get that $600. You get that. Right, with the $300 every week, you get that $600. The next time you claim unemployment, they want to replace that with a one-time $600 payment. That's not acceptable, my dude. That doesn't pay the bills.
I never said it was. That's not why I said she should have passed it.
and that's why Nancy got played by Mitch McConnell twice,
Yes.
doubly as hard because she doesn't,
I think, and I could see it going from both ways. The problem it's not gonna matter what they pass now, if they can pass anything during the lame duck. They need to get people some kind of help at some point. The issue is going to be whether or not the Democrats, if they do pass something between now and January 20th, if they've got the guts to do this again, because they need to be realistic and understand, regardless of what they pass, even if they manage to roll the talks back and get something a lot better, a lot more generous for people that really need this cash, they're going to end up having to do it again.
I'm telling you,
it's going to have to get done twice because we're still going to be waiting for vaccinations in summer, and we're still going to be masked up until this time next.
We're going to
until
be
this time
lucky.
next year.
We're going to be lucky to win one of these runoff elections. That'll be lucky.
In both in Georgia, as the days go on, I'm more and more optimistic that Democrats are probably going to take both by a slim margin.
Optimistic in Georgia. In a runoff election, when I don't see it happening. I'll be surprised. And even if you win both, you're talking about a tiebreaker with Democrats like Joe Manchin, right?
Well, actually, Kamala Harris would be the tiebreaker since she's
I know,
vice
but
president.
I'm talking about Joe Manchin is a fucking Republican and is going to side with the Republicans on this. So it won't even come to a fucking tiebreaker.
I don't see him siding with the Republicans a lot. It's all about
85% of the time, and he's already sided with them on this.
It's all.
Do you think
about
that Joe Manchin would do that if he's got? I mean, it's one thing now because he's in the minority, but do you think he would still be like that if?
Fuck yeah, he's always been like that.
Harris is a type.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's always been.
Well, I know he's always been conservative. He's always been kind of this, blue dog Democrat, basically a Republican. But I'm just wondering if he's going to behave the same way, if he's going to try to leverage stuff for his own
he's
state.
not the only one, though. I mean, to think a 50-50 split is an actual equal thing here. It's just not the case. I mean, we saw so the Republicans that we thought were more moderate and would occasionally side with us for the last 4 years, that was exposed. Susan Collins did not do that. She placates, but she did not do that. Joe Manchin, he does that. I mean,
hey, Rage, real quick, did you see not the last comment, but the next to last comment by Chris? Because I tell me if that's is bullshit. He's saying that Mitch just offered to strip everything and just get money to people, and Nancy refused that.
No, that's not true at all.
Stop
he watching
OAN. Everything. He said to simplify. And his simplification was just small business and no, and maybe re-upping unemployment, if I'm correct. But
Mitch McConnell doesn't want to support small businesses.
That was his simplified plan.
Yikes!
I thought they were in phase 2 trials for the COVID vaccine. Didn't I read that somewhere?
No, people have already gotten the vaccine in different parts of the world.
Yeah, the first
they
person
started in
already
Britain,
got it.
just recently, very
Yeah,
recently.
Pfizer's vaccine they did. Yeah.
Yeah, the second person in Britain that got it was named William Shakespeare. I shit you not.
Don't expect to be able to
a woman, I thought.
See, so we're not getting any stimulus. They're going to be like, oh, Mitch McConnell's going to be like, well, there's a vaccine now. So
I'm predicting that we will get stimulus. I'm going to try to borrow on my income tax returns to get through this month. We'll see how that works out. But I'm actually predicting that there's going to be stimulus, especially Bernie Sanders is fighting for a better deal. And Bernie sounded pretty strong tonight. So I'm actually thinking that the pressure is on Mitch McConnell because, it's not just liberals starving. It's not just liberals not going to be able to buy their children Christmas presents. It's those people that vote Republican too. So I actually think we're going to get a deal. I think we're going to get a $600 direct payment and we're going to get the $300 unemployment. And Mitch is going to get his liability protection, which is fucking atrocious. The Democrats cowed and bent the knee on that. They shouldn't have. But Leo, you're right. We got to have stimulus. They bent the knee on that, and he's going to get it. He's going to get the liability protection for
what is the liability protection
for business owners? So business owners like Tyson that put their workers at risk during this pandemic. There's going to be no civil liability against them.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about that one of the plants actually here in Iowa, the one of the Tyson plants, the big wigs that run that particular plant were literally betting on which employees they thought were going to die first from it.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it how Republicans try to be buddy with billionaires. No, dude, a worker in the United States has significantly more in common with a worker in China than he does with a billionaire in his own country.
Well, it's a capitalist game, baby. Got to pretend.
And we're in late stage capitalism, which basically is just feudalism. It's kind of
I call
bet on the deaths of their serfs.
I call capitalism feudalism for the modern age.
Feudalism and townhouses.
So they were literally at Tyson. They were running a literal Deadpool.
Well, I don't think they were running a Deadpool. They were just betting on who they thought was going to die for. I don't know if I call it a
Deadpool is. You didn't see the movie Deadpool?
I know very well what a Deadpool is. I don't think it was that organized.
I wish somebody had a picture of a chart, like somebody put that up on a whiteboard somewhere. Yeah, Patty from packaging. Yeah, have you seen her? Yeah, no, she doesn't watch.
Yeah, she just got intubated. I'm betting she's only going to survive the next 2 days. If she dies in the next 45 hours or 48 hours, that means you all owe me $1,000.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking, are you guys afraid at any level that we might slide into deeper fascism than what's already being threatened by the Trump president? You don't think so?
No. We'll slide into corporatism, not fascism. The Democratic Party is not a fascist party. They're a corporatist party. The Republican
Party.
The
Democrats. I mean, yeah, of course, but I don't know. I mean, people's reactions in general, maybe. I don't know.
Well, the Republicans are more of a cult now than anything.
I think it's possible that the Democrats could slip into fascism. I mean, if you read 1984, it was the left side that were the fascists. But I just find it highly unlikely, and all the trends are that it's a Republican, it's a right-wing ideology. So
it is.
Yeah. The weird thing is how persuasive it's been. They've been at because they always talk about the media as if it's a monolith, but right-wing media has been really like kind of the towering juggernaut in this, and it's been extremely effective at communicating to a lot of different people that the worst thing that could happen would be a Biden presidency, because Biden is so left wing. He's the second coming of Mao. It's like that guy is actually slightly more conservative than Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the second coming of Reagan.
Yeah, the Overton window has gotten pushed so far to the right at this point that if Hitler showed up and offered health care, people would accuse him of being, a lefty, right?
Well, the funny thing is
he's Antifa.
Those same people already think that Hitler was on the left because they're fucking idiots that don't know anything about political philosophy.
He's an atheist leftist.
The other thing, because I've had a few people literally say that Joe Biden is just like Mao, and I'm like, so can you tell me
socialism is in the party name?
Well, what I say is that can you tell me what Joe Biden has said about landlords that lines up with what Mao said about landlords? And I get, huh? And it's like, obviously you don't know anything about Mao, you fucking idiot. Shut that gaping hole in the front of your face.
I used to tell people like that. Well, Sanders is a socialist. I'm like, really? Have you ever heard Sanders say that he wants to abolish private property? What? Yeah, exactly. So knock it off.
Well, private property does still exist under socialism.
Personal property does. Private property.
Personal property is a form of private property.
Well, no. Private property in the economic sense, where you can capitalize on it. That's not something that usually exists in a socialist system.
Well, these idiots don't research anything for themselves. They go off of what their leaders say, which is why their fucking leaders have so much fucking power.
Yeah. But I think it's weird that it's gotten that persuasive, because before it didn't seem like it was that big a deal. I mean, and a lot of some of these guys, when they come out, they'll talk this game like, oh, these people are so far to the left, they're going to take all your rights, take away your freedoms. They're going to tax you to death, and all your
they're going to abort your guns and try to steal your babies.
And your kids will never go to church again, and they'll all be gay. So vote Republican. So none of that.
Well, yeah, that's it. Like, because I know, Matthew Overstreet in the side chat. He's from the Bible Belt where I was raised, and so he knows like I'm speaking truth here. I was raised around a lot of gun-toting, American-loving Republicans, to say the least. And that's what they're afraid of, is that they somehow feel like this secular society they always hear about in those big cities over there, even though they all go to Winston-Salem, which is a big city, but they just can't correlate that in their fucking minds. But they, it's going to change their lifestyle, and that their lifestyle is under attack. Like, I don't give a fuck how big your wad of tobacco is, and I really don't care what you do with your guns, as long as you got them locked up and your kids are safe.
I wanted to say something that plays to what Jeff was talking about a couple minutes ago, that if I ever ran for office, like, I would run on the most like Americanized, cliche patriotic platform ever. Like for like something like single payer healthcare, be like, oh my, like, wait, hold on. I'm going against the Republican. It's like, oh well, universal healthcare, they're taking away your healthcare. That's socialism. I'd be like, wait, that's funny, because are you kidding me? Like, we're the fucking United States of America, bro. We can't do that. Oh my God, communist fucking China can give all their people healthcare, but freedom-loving, democracy-loving United States can't do it? Oh no, I just think we're better than that. And I guarantee you the Republicans would be like, hey,
I'm honest. I'm like, if a law came out and they banned all guns in America, I'd be all for it. Constitution be damned. I don't care. That would be like a wet dream for me. Guess what? I'm a very small minority in this country. Most people like their damn guns.
I want to put to add on to what Leo was saying. I remember right after 9/11 happened, the news was going crazy, right? Because there were potentially more people in the country that were up to things. I was out in Vegas at the time, living there, and there were stories come about people skulking around the Hoover Dam, and people were calling the cops all over the place. So they're going to blow up the Hoover Dam or whatever. And one of the things that came out were these investigations into a smallpox release or weaponized anthrax release, right? And there was a discussion that actually started happening, because at the time I was politically conservative. The discussion that was happening amongst people that I knew at the time, and articles and stuff that I read, was a discussion on coming from conservatives, why we need a national healthcare system because smallpox attack, right? So they made a national security argument for a national healthcare system. And I was like, well, there you go. All you have to do is rig up one of these attacks, and then that would drive the entire country into wanting a national healthcare system that could respond to an emergency. And now it's 2020. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and the people that were voting this time around were actually galvanized into voting for Trump because Trump was casting aspersions at the governors that shut their states down to try to curb disease outbreaks. People didn't want a healthcare response. They didn't want public healthcare measures. And the 70+ million people that voted for Trump are basically kind of coming out and saying, yeah, what we want is if there's the next time there's a pandemic, don't tell us, just let us keep shopping. We'll bury our own.
Another slaves to the consumer society, man. It's
another way that you can appeal to Republicans on the healthcare thing is be like, wait, you don't want to lift the burden off of small businesses that oftentimes struggle to provide all their workers with healthcare. I mean, the Constitution literally says that the purpose of our government is to take care of its people. Healthcare, you don't think that healthcare would do that? And how is it taking away healthcare if it's literally guaranteeing that everybody has it? Well, at the same time, we're lifting that burden off of businesses so that they don't have to dump all this money unnecessarily into providing the healthcare. There's a lot of ways you can actually appeal to Republicans on a lot of these things.
They don't understand that. You were going to pay an initial price to change the healthcare system without a doubt, but like Bernie Sanders says, they say that Bernie Sanders doesn't break down how he's going to pay for healthcare, but he does because it pays for itself. You don't even really have to go far. You got to cover the first few years. By the first 10 years, it's paying for itself. It's you're bringing in more money than you was putting out in the old system because the old system is broken. And all of the models show that. The Koch brothers ran a model, and their model showed that.
Mercatus Institute, Mercatus Institute.
Showed
George
that.
Mason University came out and said it would cost about $33 trillion rounding up, but that our current system would cost about $54 trillion over the same period. And the guy that was the head of the study came out, and this is fucking hilarious because he started to get caught on this. Like, hey, your own study says it would be cheaper. He said, well, the assumptions that we made were a little extreme. Like, he was admitting that his own assumptions were already beyond what they should have been, and they still couldn't run a narrative reasonably that this is going to destroy or bankrupt America.
Consider how the argument though has decayed into real rancor. It used to be 15, 20 years ago. I remember, back when this would usually happen. If somebody would bring up the notion of national health care, what most conservatives would do, and most of them are free market types, would be like, no, you want private health care because private health care, competition, yada, yada, yada. You get more stuff. Sometimes you get inequalities, but ultimately you get better health care. You get more innovative health care. It's better. So they would argue it as a positive. They'd accept some caveats here, but it's basically a plus. Now, every time they argue it, it's entirely based on the fact that, yeah, you could have government health care, but they won't let you do anything. And there's going to be death panels and waiting lines and all this other kind of stuff. Even though people experience this with private health care and have been for decades, that's all they focus on now is the negative.
And the funny thing is,
the government health care is just not going to give you anything.
The Medicare system that we have now was originally supposed to be phased in to cover everybody. God, who was the president that fucking passed Medicare? But wasn't Eisenhower? Was that Kennedy?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up because it was the next president that essentially nixed the idea of phasing it in to cover everybody.
Well, because it was creeping socialism.
Who passed Medicare? It was Lyndon B. Johnson.
I was going to guess that, but I wasn't sure.
Wasn't Johnson the one that died and his vice president took over?
No.
Oh, never mind.
Lyndon B. was Kennedy's vice president.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And was it Nixon that succeeded Johnson? I think it is.
We've only got 8 minutes. My daughter wants to play on her computer, and I don't let her in here when I'm streaming. But the saddest thing about this pandemic is the fact that it should have opened the eyes to everybody just how much our health system needs to be repaired. Sadder fact is that we don't even really know if Obamacare would have worked in its original form because Republicans immediately started sabotaging it and wouldn't allow it to work in their states. So Obamacare could have been a good thing. We just won't know. I'm a proponent for universal health care. This pandemic should have done it, right? Like, it should have ended the conversation, and we should all be moving towards universal health care next year. Unfortunately, as Jefferson pointed out, 70 million people don't think so. So It's to me the worst tragedy here in the States of the pandemic, outside of people claiming it was a hoax and so many people died because of that, is the fact that we're not going to get anywhere closer to universal health care in this country.
I mean, look at our country compared to some countries that have universal health care. They
All
handle
countries
it
that have
much better than we did.
all of them handle it better than we do. Literally, all of them.
Yeah.
I
But
wish you'd let me finish the
what
sentence
does happen?
before you jump in, Leo. You got to stop doing that. If somebody's in the middle of a sentence, wait till they're done to jump in. But anyway, we're going to have to start wrapping this up. Everybody's going to have to get their final word. Please, in your final
I didn't know until like 2 minutes ago that I guess I'm on a countdown because she's peeking out the door like, you got 6 minutes, Dad.
Yeah. Well, no, but that's fine. Like at 10-2, I was thinking, yeah, we got to start wrapping this up.
I was hoping to go longer. I was hoping Darth Dawkins would have stayed, but that didn't happen. So
I'm sure the politics talk triggered the shit out of him.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Don's treatment of him didn't
Well,
really.
and who'd we lose there?
Tioga just dipped out.
Oh yeah, she said bye in the side chat. So
So give me your final words when I go to you, and also give me a word on Darth Dawkins. Whether you want to describe him, rip on him, tell a little story about an interaction you had with him. But Leo, go ahead, go first.
So my final comments is addressing something that Chris Key said in the chat. He said, look at the socialism experiments in the past. They fail. There are no experiments with socialism or communism in the past because nobody ever implemented it. You had a bunch of people that utilized an ideology that was generally appealing to the proletariat, and they utilized this so that they could get the votes of the proletariat and seize power, at which point they implemented totalitarian societies. So nobody has ever tried socialism because nobody's ever actually wanted to. That's pretty much all I need to say.
Jefferson Spatchcock.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I'm done.
Lisa for Truth, please tell us your final words and try and use the word fuck as many times as you can.
Fuck you, Darth Dawkins. And please check out my channel, Lisa for Truth. And please subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right, Lisa. Thanks for stopping by. My final words are tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern time. It's going to be me, Doc, CJ Cox, and SJ Thomason. We're going to talk about morality, ethics, something around that topic. Subjective, objective morality is what SJ and CJ believe in. We'll work the particulars out on the fly as we talk. It's just going to be a conversation. It's not a debate.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun.
1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, all right.
1 p.m. Eastern. Yep.
Can I say one last quote from somebody to somebody else in the chat before Knock goes? It's really, really quick.
Go ahead.
Matthew Overstreet said socialism was systematically destroyed by the U.S. All I wanted to say is, man, you know what they say about socialism? It works on paper, but in the real world, it gets taken out by a CIA coup.
Oh yeah, me and Matt's had some good political conversations. We've had some weird political conversations, and the conversations about God are even weirder. So he's an interesting dude, but he always was since we were kids. He's always been an interesting one, and he knows. We go back a long way, so we can disagree and still have love for each other. But yeah, he's a bit out there. Matt, if you ever get the itch and want to come on and talk, this is where I do all my talking now. So feel free to jump in one of these rooms or come on and talk about being a Luciferian. I'd talk to you about that, my bro. Hunter Bailey's in the side chat. I need to get a hold of you, Hunter, somehow, some way, maybe on Twitter or through an email. I'd like to have a conversation with you. He had mentioned something about having a conversation with me and you, Leo, with him and his buddy. I can't remember his name, but over on their channel. Maybe that might be possible. But
I've talked to his friend. He's a good guy. I'd be okay with that.
So so we'll have to hook something up. I'd love to have you on, Hunter, and you're a different kind of Christian. I'll talk to anybody. Tonight wasn't really about me talking to Darth because I've talked to him before. He just makes me mad. I cuss him out, and then we laugh about it. Tonight was about John and Darth, and John. It was about 5 minutes. It was a quickie. It might have been one of the quicker rage quits I've ever seen from Darth Dawkins.
Yeah, that might have been a record. He barely let me get the tip in, man. I mean, I had just stuck the tip in and reached around for one of his breasts, and he left.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I'm gonna definitely be cutting that out, and that'll go. I'm like 12, 13 edited videos ahead. I don't know at this point. Like it's some crazy number. Yeah, it'll go on that list somewhere, and I'll put it up.
The most beautiful part of that, sorry to interrupt, but was that when he raged when I muted him, because he literally does that to everybody, and then when he was calling me out about interrupting him, like he interrupts every person he's ever talked to.
I like the fact that he expects to be he expects to have the same kind of control and authority on other people's stuff as he does on his own. The sense of entitlement with the guy is off the charts.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, again, like, because when I commented when he was saying it, the audience didn't hear it, but like Darth, you know, I understand why Darth thought that I was the one muting him. You know, it's my channel. Maybe he does. As much as he's in here, you'd think that he'd understand that John has the same powers that I have. But yeah, no, John muted you. Like, he did it like what, once, and he's immediately bitched about it or something.
Right, yeah, one time I muted.
He's like, Rage, why are you muting me? And I responded, but the audience didn't hear me because my other mute button was pressed at the time. So yeah, gotta love that. But Darth heard me say that, so Darth knows. But yeah, it was interesting. I thought you did a pretty good job at kind of like throwing back on him what he tries to throw on everybody else, and it was enjoyable for 5 minutes. You know, I didn't even have to test my patience tonight because you know, he wasn't even really talking to me, and I didn't have a chance to get pissed. So
well, the fact that he went to a Discord server and started, like, you know, by chewing on other people, according to Rib. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, this, like, you know, it did what he wanted. You know, gave him a little tweaking. He's off to scream at people.
That is narcissism. We did talk about him for a while after, and then we went to politics, and that was a good, refreshing talk because we don't talk about politics much anymore. But with all of that being said, I am gonna get out of here. My daughter's like, Dad, let me play. I was planning on doing like a 4-hour stream. I was hoping Darth would be here for an hour, and we could talk for an hour and that, and then we'd move on to something else. But I'm gonna let her play her game with her friend. And tomorrow we got SJ, so I'm gonna think about my arguments where I want to go, and then John, me, and you will get together in the morning and kind of come together on what, you know, our points are going to be, and yeah, that'll happen at 1 p.m. So be here for that. I have new music for the Patreon screen because the other one broke for some reason. This should work, so let me make sure you guys can hear it just so you know what's going on. But yeah, as always, be the conversation. Thank you, patrons. And it's still not fucking working. Are you kidding me? Fucking OBS. All right, so thank you, patrons. There you are. Y'all have a good night. Holy shit.